Hello Xavier fans. Yes, I know, I skipped PA 63. It does have an expressway portion, and it's quite important to traffic in Philly, but it's only signed as Woodhaven Road. I don't think that it actually contains much signage, as it's in the Philly metro area, so we're gonna go past PA 63 and go back to the second largest city in Pennsylvania, back to Pittsburgh, for some more nostalgia. Enjoy! Pennsylvania Highway 65. Yay, even more nostalgia, and this is another road that I haven't driven on much. Alright, PA 65 is a north-south road that goes through the northern area of the greater Pittsburgh metro area down to the city itself. And in most of the road, it is known as Ohio River Boulevard, and that's how I've known PA 65. Here's a look at the map. As you can see, the road goes from Newcastle down to Pittsburgh itself on the North Shore, where it ends. You're watching the Xavier 456. I post new highway content every week. If you like this kind of content, smash the like button, will ya? And if you really like it, hit the subscribe button. It is waiting for you. Also, the notification bell is waiting for you as well. Alright, I must remind you that you can request your exit or intersection down in the comments below. Next week is PA 66. Alright, let's first start by talking about southbound PA 65 because it makes a little more sense to me as it did make sense to me with PA 51. Alright, here's where we start in Newcastle and we get a south PA 65 direction shield right here. Here we meet with Business US 422 and this was requested by Mr. Shaf. We don't get any signage here at all, but he just wanted to see this. On US 422 itself, PA 65 is only getting signage for East Washington Street. So yeah, Kentucky treatment. I don't like to see that. Let me see a control city on there. And once we do see a control city off of this exit, it's Elwood City. It's not horrible. There's a lot of cities in this area, so you probably shouldn't go with one or another. We get a mileage sign, but Elwood City is on our top line, and Rochester is on the bottom line at 23 miles. There's another case of a secondary being signed, and since there are lots of generally big suburbs or whatnot in this area, it makes sense, I guess. In Elwood City itself, we get New Brighton, and not Rochester, and I am assuming that is another secondary, as Pennsylvania always loves to do. Here in New Brighton, which is generally a big place, we meet with PA 18, the longest state route in the state. We don't get any control cities here, but we now merge onto it. Once we get into Rochester, we now meet with PA 51, which is signed south for Pittsburgh, and we are too. Pittsburgh is the right choice. Here is where PA 51 leaves via the Monica East Rochester Bridge, as we saw before. Off of the Monica East Rochester Bridge, after you've left PA 51, PA 65 is getting signed for both Ambridge and Pittsburgh. So apparently you want to put Pittsburgh on PA 65, but not PA 51. Why wouldn't you put it on both? Here is an exit for Freedom, and as you can see, we got another case of 2 overhead signs instead of just 1. I don't know why. Here we get a mileage sign with Ambridge on the top line at 6 miles away and Pittsburgh on the bottom line at 24 miles. Well done. Here is the Sewickley Bridge. We don't get any signage here, but I just thought I'd wanted to show it. Here we now meet with I-79, which is getting signed for Erie and Washington. Now, I'm getting some mixed opinions about Washington. I think Morgantown could be the better decision, some people remind me. On I-79 itself, PA 65 is getting signed for Emsworth and Sewickley. This is like the route to Pittsburgh from I-79 if you miss I-376, or if you're coming from the southbound direction. Why are you not signing Pittsburgh here? And why are you signing a suburb? Just sign Pittsburgh as you had it on before. Here's the McKees Rocks Bridge, and as you can see, there is a direction shield for PA 51, as that's where you'll be meeting on the other side of the bridge. Here we get US 19 North, and of course it gets the Kentucky treatment as we're now in the city limits. Marshall Avenue and Beaver Avenue. Would rather see something else on there. Here is where US 19 splits off of us, heading south to the West End Bridge, with also a direction for 2 PA 51. Now we can't go one Pittsburgh video without seeing the light rail, or the T, and this is at its terminal, Allegheny Station. And we can also see the Carnegie Science Center in the background, and also Acrisure Stadium to the left. And now we can see a sign that there's no more PA 65, that is now ending here, and it's getting to North 28, North 279, and Truck North 19. And there's also a lane for downtown Pittsburgh, and we also get a lane for South 279 to I-376 for Fort Pitt Bridge, Airport, and Monroeville. No, that should say Harrisburg because of the turnpike. Alright, now let's go and talk about northbound. PA 65. Alright, here's where we start on I-279 southbound, for example, signed for Fort Pitt Bridge and Airport because of I-376. And 65 North is getting the Kentucky treatment and is only getting Ohio River Boulevard. Rather, I would see a control city on here, but there's too many Kentucky treatments in Pittsburgh. Here's where we meet the West End Bridge exit, and we get North 19 and 65 Ohio River Boulevard. Rather, I'd see other cities on there, and US 19 splits off, and it gets the Kentucky treatment once again. Although, when we look on this interchange itself, we can see South 65 is signed for downtown, North 19 signed for Wexford, I don't know why really, and we are signed for Sewickley. I guess that could be okay, because we're heading into the suburbs itself, but I don't know, I'd rather see some bigger suburbs, I guess. Here is where you can go into the McKees Rocks Bridge, and it's actually getting an overhead sign for North PA 51 for McKees Rocks. Although that's just where it'll be ending up on the other side of the bridge. Here he meets with I-79 for Erie and Washington. And North 65 is pulled through for nothing. When we meet the Sewickley Bridge, we even get some text for it. It's signed for Coraopolis, because that's where we'll be meeting on the other side of the bridge. You also get a direction sign for Airport. I discussed Airport in the PA 51 video. It is not a good choice. And we are now signed north for Ambridge. I mean, it's a generally big suburb, I guess. Here we get a mileage sign in Ambridge, and we get New Brighton on the top line, say we're skipping Rochester, and we get Elwood City on the bottom line. This is an interesting one. Like I said, there's quite a bit of cities in this area, so it's hard to pick which one should go where. When we meet the Monica East Rochester Bridge, we actually got an overhead sign to PA 18 and 51, signed for Monica, even though that's where it'll be meeting on the other side of the bridge. And here's where you split off of PA 51 and 68, signed for Beaver and Chippewa. No, Chippewa should not be there. And we, as 18 and 65, are signed for New Brighton and Beaver Falls. Here we get a similar direction mileage sign hybrid that we saw on PA 51, and it's just as ridiculous. New Brighton, Beaver Falls, although Beaver Falls is generally big and I could agree with it. I'd rather see something for PA 65 on there as well, but PA 51 Chippewa, no, go with something in Ohio. Here in New Brighton, we get a turn onto another street, and then PA 18 splits off of us and we are continuing straight. When we get this interchange, we get Beaver Falls for PA 588, New Brighton for South PA 65, and Elwood City for northbound 65. I mean, it could be okay, but I wouldn't cry if I'd rather see Newcastle on there, but who knows. Here we meet with PA 288, which is getting Zelienople, and we are only getting Elwood City. We are in Elwood City right now, so go with Newcastle, because that's where we're going. But once we split off of PA 288, which is now signed for Wampum, we're now signed for Newcastle, and that's the right decision. Here we get a one-line mileage sign with Newcastle, and it's at 11 miles away, and I feel like this could be a good use of a one-line mileage sign. Here we meet with US 422, which is getting signed for Youngstown and Butler, which are the right choices. And here is the end of PA 65. We meet with PA 168 and PA 108. And we also get a direction shield to PA 18 to the left, and that'll be it for PA 65. Thank you for watching this video. Next week, get your easy passes ready again because there is a toll section on PA 66. I'll see you all then, and may peace be with you.